Hello, folks out there, and thank you for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and today I am joined by my co-host,
Josh.
Hey, how's it going, Josh?
It's going great.
This is a review episode where we watch a movie and then we come to you immediately. So we just watched this movie, and then we come back to you with our review and our thoughts to determine if the movie gets the Eek seal of quality. Something like that. So tonight we watched Night of the Demons. Mm-hmm. And Night of the Demons is a 1988 American supernatural horror film. It's directed by Kevin S. Tenney. It is written and produced by Joe Augustine. Probably Augustine. It stars Amelia Kincaid, Kathy Podewell, Linnea Quigley, Hal Havens, and Alvin Alexis.
Oh, Alvin.
There's some names in this movie.
There are.
It's an interesting one. Okay, we're just gonna jump right in here to our back of the box. It's Halloween night, and Angela is throwing a party, but this is no ordinary Halloween party. Everyone's headed to Hull House, a deserted funeral home, formerly the home of a mass murderer. Which I don't think is touched on at all.
Not at all.
In the movie, by the way.
I was surprised when you just said that.
Formerly the home of a mass murderer. But when the partygoers decide to have a seance, they awaken something evil. And these party crashers have a thirst for blood. Now it's a battle to survive the night in Hull House. Not Hill House. Or Hell House.
No.
But Hull House. Night of the Demons.
Night of the Demons.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, and we are back.
And we're back.
And we just are coming here with I always suck at this part. We're coming back to you with our thoughts on Night of the Demons. So here is some info. Has a budget of roughly $1 million. It has a gross of roughly $3 million.
Okay.
It got an extremely limited release where it was... only... Okay. God damn it. I can't open my window. So, for anyone listening or watching, I'm sure by now you have heard the Cody Telltale laugh, and he is standing outside on the street, and I can hear it from inside while we're recording.
Very distracting.
So we got a very limited release. We're talking it was in some theaters in Detroit.
Oh, that's very limited.
And then it got put in some theaters in New York.
Huh.
And that's about it. But apparently it did really well whenever they put it in these select New York theaters. And it was in November when it hit, and it stayed through until the end of the year.
Wow.
People kept coming back for it.
They could have made so much more money.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
So we'll start off here. Linnea Quigley, Suzanne. She and special effects artist Steve Johnson met on this film when she came in to have the molds of her breasticles,
Of course.
for the fake breasticles. And then they got married.
Romance is not dead.
How amazing is that? So it is kind of been estimated that had the film opened nationwide with the numbers it earned in Detroit and New York, it's estimated that they would have gotten $13 million domestically just its opening weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. 1988. It would have made it one of the top grossing horror films of its decade.
Right.
Had it had a wider release, in theory. You could also say if it had a wider release, people would have not seen it as much of a novelty and maybe just wouldn't have gone to see it at all.
Yeah,
It's possible.
maybe.
You can't say, oh, if you multiply that number by however many
That's not
theaters
how it
there are
works.
in the world.
Like maybe in Iowa, no one cares.
Right, exactly. So, that's some tough math there, but we'll go with it. It had a couple different proposed titles.
I can't wait to hear this.
The first one was Halloween Party.
Wow.
The next one was Demon Boogie.
Oh wow. That's
I think going with Night of the Demons was probably a good choice. Although Halloween Party wouldn't have been terrible. It's just if you call your movie Halloween anything, you're competing with the Halloween franchise,
Right.
so you probably just don't want to do that. An earlier draft of the script, I really like this, had a priest blessing the audience at the start of the movie.
that's
I would have really enjoyed that.
that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept that in there. Okay, so let's talk just a little bit about what happens in Night of the Demons.
So I'll try to keep it short because we tend to run long on this part.
Uh-huh.
There's the kind of standard 80s open with this this kind of the virginal girl
Right.
and her boyfriend, and they're
Cody's still laughing out there, by the way.
he is you can hear it, and they're planning on going out, and their plans kind of change to go to this party.
We're having a party at Hull House.
And you just kind of in the next several minutes you meet all of the characters that will be at this party,
All the characters.
and they go to the party, and then everything kind of goes sideways.
This movie is quite literally Evil Dead mashed up with Return of the Living Dead
Yes.
into one film.
Yes.
100%. It's exactly what this movie was. Yeah, maybe that's not what they meant to make, but that's definitely what came out. I mean, we even had a disembodied hand.
Yes.
Like, if the camera shots and the setting and the demons weren't enough to make you think that this is kind of like Evil Dead, like there's even a disembodied hand.
Yes.
So I don't think there's any like big like
Plot twists.
no, not even that. I don't think this movie did anything hugely new or different or original. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. It's just this was clearly probably a passion project of a few directors who wanted to make a horror movie that was similar to other horror movies that they liked.
Yeah, for 88, a lot of the kind of quintessential horror movies have been out.
Yeah,
So
everything's established.
There's
by this
a
point.
lot of tropes that you see.
Yep.
in it.
I think the only big one, Child's Play, might have been 89, maybe. But all the big slashers are out in full force
Yes.
at this point. So, the look and sound of the movie, it looks like an 80s movie. Nothing bad about the look. It definitely, you can tell it's on the lower end of the budget. I had referenced Evil Dead. Evil Dead had even less of a budget than this movie. So that's the thing though, is I don't think this movie looks much better than Evil Dead, even knowing in my mind that Evil Dead had a lower budget. Like,
Right.
It's just not. The special effects are very similar. The demons, the possessed teenagers in this movie as demon people look very similar to Deadites.
Very.
I mean, they kind of do it the exact same way.
Especially like near the end when they're kind of the most
Yep.
demonified.
Yep.
So-
So I don't think there's anything to really write home about. The sound is bad.
It's real bad.
It's bad. At one point, probably the only point in the movie where I really felt like the score was standing out to me was a part where it was just really annoying.
Yes.
I made the comment like it sounded like someone just pushed all the buttons on a sequencer and then just hit play and it's just looping over and over again.
We were all just like, this is too much.
It
It's
just
too
needs to
busy.
stop. It needs to stop. There was a noise happening on every single beat.
One of the few things we liked sound wise was the song during What's Your Face's long.
I don't know
dance
if I
scene.
liked it as much as I just need to know what it is.
It was so strange. You couldn't understand it, whatever
Yeah.
the words were.
well,
It was like spoken word, but like
It
white
sounded-
person rap. It,
it
was
sounded
odd.
like kind of like maybe like placebo or something at first, but way heavier. And I don't know. I don't know. It got weird, and then he starts speaking Latin at the end, you
Yeah.
know, and it's
The sound was.
it got real Catholic, and I don't know about you guys, but is the movie scary?
No.
Nah, it's not. It's not scary even a little bit. There's not even a good cheap jump scare in this film. It's not trying to do that though. It's not trying to do that. I think that's a thing about a lot of 80s horror, and maybe there's a lot of horror today that falls into this as well. Maybe even more so now, because now we have kind of like parody horror and like zombie comedies and like stuff like that. I just think that when I talk to people who say, "Oh, I don't like scary movies," and I'm like, "Okay, but like that doesn't mean you don't like horror." "Oh, well, I don't like gore and like blood and guts and like I don't like that kind of thing." It's like, but not all horror movies are that.
Right.
Gremlins is a horror movie, and it's none of that.
Rambo's not a horror movie, and it has a lot of blood and guts. So
Yeah. So I think that this is one of those 80s horror films that is just a true red
Yes.
80s horror film. And the fact that like it just is what it is. It's goofy. It's silly. You're not supposed to take it too seriously. No one is running out of the theater halfway through thinking they're going to be possessed by demons. Like it's just not that kind of movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
you go in there expecting to have a little bit of suspense and have fun.
Yeah.
And enjoy the experience, not to be shocked or
No.
no, anything like that.
Definitely not. If we had to pick a scariest moment,
I actually thought of it this time. It's I think the only time they attempted a jump thing, and it was during the dance with the strobe lights when you see Sal walk in.
Yep.
And in between like the beats of the strobe light, I can't think of his real name. Stooge. His head just kind of appears behind him.
Yeah. You know what? I liked that in the moment. I liked that a lot. But that's because I thought that Stooge was already demonified at that point.
He wasn't.
And he wasn't.
He was like, "Hey."
So he just timed it perfectly right to jump into frame at that exact moment. Like,
Right.
Okay. Horror movie logic. We get a jump scare at a Stooge just walking into the
Yep.
room.
And I think that was it.
Yeah, that's probably it. I mean, you get a couple of those like turns of like, oh hey, I'm normal, and then like look away, and then oh now I'm super demonified. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not that scary. Best kill. So I think we really only we have one body reveal. We have one actual death on screen. And then, well, I guess we have a couple deaths on screen. We do have a couple deaths on screen. I'm going to go with Stooge just slamming the coffin shut so much that it cuts that other guy's arm off.
Which was that even a kill?
Nope. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still not convinced he's a zombie / demon.
He
I
looked
think that
normal.
He's just normal and pretending.
It's just like, my arm. It hurts.
He's like, if I act like a zombie demon, maybe they won't actually know, and I can get out of here like come sunrise. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I think the end kill
yeah,
was probably mine. I don't. You have this whole. I'm trying to remember how you guys described it. This two bookends to this whole movie, which are so they're not out of place, I guess. If you look at the beginning of the movie and the very end.
It's this classic. So there's like this method of story You hear them a lot at like if you do like any kind of like summer camps or things like that. The one that's coming to mind right now is the pink ping pong ball story, where it's like all about this guy who like every year for his birthday he asks for a pink ping pong ball, and like you go through his entire life and it's mostly just made up shit. Like you can make
Right.
it all up on the fly, and then like you waste everyone's time as long as you possibly can. And then like the guy's on his deathbed and it's like, what's the ping pong ball for, Dad? Like what was the whole point, Grandpa? And then like he dies. And the joke is just, the punchline is just, and then he died.
Yep.
And that was this movie. Another version of that is like about some guy who's like seeking the meaning of life. And he like, you tell this huge story about his whole life and this near death experience. And then he like travels to Tibet and he's like hiking up the Himalayan mountains. And then like he finds this like master monk up in the mountains, and what is the meaning of life? And the guy doesn't tell him, and then he dies, and then he goes to heaven and he asks God, what is the meaning of life? And then God pushes his belly button and his butt falls off. That was this movie. Oh, we're going to tell you why. We're going to tell you why right now. So why is that this movie?
Because in the beginning of the movie, you have this old man who gets kind of accosted by these kids during Halloween. And just like, oh, they're son of a bitch, rah, rah, rah. And then you find out that he bought a bunch of groceries.
Yeah.
And in the groceries, he had bought apples and razor blades.
To hand out for trick-or-treaters.
You know, the thing that no one has ever actually seen or heard of, but
No.
that we all think happens when we were kids.
Yeah.
And the whole movie happens. And
We forget about this guy.
Completely.
He's a throwaway character. You don't even remember that these events happened at the beginning of the film, the way that it opened. None of it mattered. It was just to set up the feeling of it being Halloween.
right. And because his paths cross with one of the main characters
Yeah.
for a second.
A second.
And-
Throwaway.
And then the movie happens. And then we basically cut to him and his wife at home. And long story short, he ate the apple. He was given the apple by his wife.
made a apple pie and he's eating it and he goes, she goes, how's the pie? And he's grumpy old man. Yeah, it's okay. She's like, oh, just okay. You love my homemade pies. Homemade? When'd you make this? Oh, we didn't have like any trick-or-treaters last night, so while you were sleeping, I just made a pie with all those apples that you bought.
And then you see the momentary, oh no, and then just his neck just almost explodes with blood and razor blades.
Yeah, blood and razor blades. Which, like we said, means she made some very chunky apple pie filling.
Yes.
If he didn't, like, bite down on one of those things before he swallowed it.
And then
Horror movie logic.
she, after he's face down in the pie, and she like kisses him on like the back of his head. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I know what I did.
I know what I did. And then she looks at the camera and says, Happy Halloween. Oh, God. And yeah, that was that's what this movie was. Yeah, that was probably the best kill. So it's currently sitting at a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. We are going to rank this movie with a thumbs up and or thumbs down, and then give our percentage on our Nugget scale, which is very similar to the Rotten Tomatoes scale for those who are not in the know. And I guess I'll go ahead because I'll do the wrap up at the end. So I give the movie a thumbs up. I think that Rotten Tomatoes, the people have spoken, and 40% is about where this movie needs to be. I liked it. I liked it enough for it to be a thumbs up. I think that it's deserving of the seal of quality. I don't think that it's a super must see. I think it's a great fun one for Halloween because it takes place on Halloween at a Halloween party. I also really like it just because, I take away from it because, like I said, this is Evil Dead and Return of the Living Dead mashed up into one movie. So if you haven't seen both of those, watch one of those first But if you're in the position where you've seen a lot of 80s horror, but you've never gotten around to seeing Night of the Demons, go for it.
Yeah. I have a very similar review. I do give it a thumbs up. I might go 30 nuggies. I also agree that I think everybody gets it right, as a whole. But I think there are a lot of movies in this time period that are similar that you should watch before this.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of this movie. I probably could have never seen it and not missed out.
Right.
Like, watch Return of the Living Dead. If
Yeah.
you're gonna watch something like this,
So much more fun.
get the same actress, same
Yep.
parts of her, and
Except you don't get a nipple that eats a
No.
lipstick tube.
we did not misspeak. That is what we said.
Yup.
So, yeah, about 30 nuggies. See it if you can.
Yeah.
Not really a high priority.
Yeah, it's definitely just okay. I did like the stupid twist with the Apple razor blade thing.
And
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
For me. I like kind of how I like looking at the whole narrative of the Night of the Demons as a huge misdirect, and the story really being about this old guy getting his comeuppance.
Yeah.
I like that.
It was fun watching with friends. I know
Very
we
fun.
say that a lot with the movies.
Yeah.
But this one especially, there are some times that it's a lot more fun when you can laugh with your friends about it.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel watching that lipstick tube go inside that nipple by myself. That would be weird.
That's a strange sentence you just said.
Tell me about it. It's a strange movie we just watched.
Indeed.
Not the strangest, but it was strange. Okay, well, that about wraps it up for this review. If you guys want to help out the show, you can just like, comment, subscribe, enable notifications, follow us on Instagram, or like us on Facebook. Do all those weird internet things that we do now, because that's just part of our lives being run by the machine. If you'd like to be a guest on the Eek Channel podcast, we have guests on every week, so you can be a guest. We'd love to talk to you about your favorite scary movies, hear about your horror origin story, all that kind of stuff. All you have to do is reach out to us on Instagram at Eek Channel. That is EEKCHANNEL. You can also go to our website, eekchannel.com, hit the Be a Guest button in the upper right-hand corner. You can also just email me, hello@eekchannel.com. Get a hold of me that way. Because, a party just always is better with
Friends.
bananas. Guests. We
Yes.
want friends and guests, and that's what we want. Okay, well, it's been a long time since I've really been behind the mic here. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Peace.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com. Or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in, and stay eeky out there.